righty, good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming today. I will be hopping on the computer every so often just to admit people who have joined the chat. But thank you again for being here. I've got some things here on the floor that we will be using today. If you don't have a dumbbell, that's okay. We'll have a banded option. And I have taken attendance this morning. A reminder from last week, we are, for this month of February, every week that you come, you're going to get an entry into a raffle in order to see if you could win a movement assessment. So please join, please keep coming. That'll give you the best opportunity to get a session and find out some things about your biomechanics that you may or may not have already known. So if you think that would be valuable for somebody, invite them. If you want to keep it for yourself, I guess don't invite people, but I would prefer if you invited some people because I think this is valuable for people. So again, thank you for coming today. What we're going to be starting with is we are going to start with the Turkish get up. All right. We're going to be doing 3 on each side. It is a very complicated movement, so you'll kind of have to listen in and see how we're doing it. But I'm going to do one first, and then I'll have everybody kind of hop in and do one. You can use a weight. You can use a shoe to balance on your fist. Anything that's going to kind of challenge your balance is going to be helpful, all right? And so what we're going to be doing, so same leg, same arm up, all right? We're going to start by lying down on the floor with that weight or shoe. We're going to sit up by leaning onto our elbow, pushing that dumbbell up into the ceiling and then up onto the hand. You're going to reach the hand behind you, bridge up through your hips, extend the hips, all right? You're going to take that extended leg, slide it underneath you to your knee, okay? So now you have this big old, pretzel position. You're going to kneel up. You're going to kind of windshield wiper the leg and stand up. Then you're going to do it in reverse. We're going to kneel back, down to the knee, kind of windshield wiper the leg, reach the hand back, rotate, slide the foot out in front, bridge the hips, sit down, and lay down one vertebrae at a time, okay? So, like I said, we're going to do 3 of those on each side. I'm going to grab myself a mat, protect my knees a little bit. If you have any questions, please type them into the chat. I'll be able to see them up on the board. Looks like I've allowed everybody in. Perfect. All right. So like I said, we're doing 3 on each side. I'll kind of let you go at your own pace, and I'll just keep eye on the timer so that way we can keep going. All right. But some reminders: same leg, same arm up. Okay. We sit up onto the elbow, press up on top to the hand, reach the hand back behind you, push through the hips, extend those hips, take that extended leg, slide it back underneath you to your knee. You're going to kneel. You're going to kind of slide the foot back behind you, stand up, and now in reverse, all right? Reach that leg back, kneel down, kind of slide the foot back behind you, reach that arm down, slide the foot out in front, extend those hips, sit down, and lie down, all right? Somebody else has joined the room. 1 second. All right, let's continue on with that. Again, same arm, same leg. Reach up, press up onto the elbow, up onto the hand. Again, this Turkish get up, very complex movement. Bridge the hips, very good for coordination, making sure that all of your parts are speaking to each other and you can stabilize all of them in concert. All right, so imagine this like kind of swimming, right? Everything, your feet, your legs, your hips, your arms, your shoulders, your core, they all have to be speaking together to be very efficient. Go ahead and switch sides if you haven't already. Again, pressing up, leaning onto the elbow, all the way up top, reach that hand back, bridge through your hips, slide that foot back behind you onto your knee, kneel, windshield wiper the foot, and stand up. In reverse now, lunge that foot back, Take a knee, put the foot back behind you, reach that arm back down to the ground, slide the foot out in front, bridge the hips, sit down, and lie down, all right? Here we go again. One more time, or a couple more times if you haven't finished yet already. Again, kind of take this at your own rhythm. If you get in all three, great. If not, that's okay. Again, you can use a shoe balanced on your fist. You can hold a lighter object just to keep your shoulder stable. Again, the whole point of this is stabilizing lots of things at the same time, working lots of different areas. So with that in mind, go ahead. If you haven't done this in a long time, or this is the first time you're doing this, please feel free to watch this back. You guys should get the recordings. Watch it back, practice it, really good movement. I see somebody on the screen and they're doing a really good job. So, and again, if you do have your video up, I will provide some level of correction as well if I see it, okay? So again, thank you for having video up if you do. All right, so we've been focusing a lot on unilateral movement, okay? We've been focusing a lot on the lower body with the step downs and the single leg RDLs. What we're going to be doing today, I want everybody to grab their handled band, all right? Grab their handled band for me. And so find a spot in your room or your house where you can hook this up to either a wall, a desk, a chair, anything that you can hook that up to. If you have something that, you know, slides into your door, okay? But we're gonna hook it up so that way it's at about chest height, all right? And we're going to stand facing away from our anchor point, all right? So with this movement, what we're gonna be doing is you are going to pick one leg. We're gonna switch each set, okay? And what you're going to be doing is you're gonna lunge out forwards. And so in this position, we should feel three things, okay? We should feel load through the backside glute. We should feel that glute squeezing to press our hips forward. We should feel tension on the core as the band is trying to pull you back. And the one thing that we shouldn't feel is any tension in the lower back. If you feel any tension in the lower back, it's either one of two things. Either A, you're too far out and it's pulling you back like this, or B, you're not squeezing your glutes and your butt's sticking out like this, all right? So we squeeze the glute, we lean it forward into the band. We're going one arm at a time pressing, okay? And so we're gonna press both arms out to start so that we have maximum tension. And you're gonna control one arm in as you breathe in. You're gonna press that band out in front of you, okay? Control the other arm in. Breathe out as you press in front of you, okay? We're gonna be doing 7 on each side. Again, breathing in as you pull the arm back, breathing out as you press. That's 2 on each side. Again, take it at your own pace. I'll just be keeping a general rhythm and a general count. Again, continue to focus on squeezing the glute, stretching out that calf in the back, engaging the core through the breath, breathing in, breathing out. We got one more on each side. Very good. Go ahead, control and relax. In between today, I want everybody to find a spot where they can stretch out their chest. Again, you can use the wall, you can use the floor. But what I want from everybody is to find a spot where, again, you can kind of put your arm up and then you're going to step the same leg through and open up that chest. Really get a nice solid stretch here. We're going to hold that for about 15 seconds on each side. So even though we're working the chest, even though we are, you know, primarily forward-facing athletes, we run forward, we bike forward, we swim forward, the chest can get overly tight lots of times. Go ahead and switch sides if you haven't already. When the chest gets tight, it collapses our posture, all right? It allows our chest to collapse in. It prevents us from getting a nice solid breath, all right? It prevents us from getting, you know, better mechanics, better posture as we run, we swim, and we bike. So go ahead, let's grab our band. Make sure you switch, which foot was in front this time, all right? So if you had your left foot in front, switch to your right. If you had your right foot in front, switch to the left. We're going into set number 2 here, all right? So we've got whichever foot is now forward. Again, we want that stretch through the calf, squeezing the glute, tension through the core. Press both hands out to start. Control back as you breathe in. Breathe out as you press. Again, you can hear my breath. The breath allows you to engage your entire diaphragm and allows you to continue to stabilize the ribs and stabilize the spine. Your breath as a lifter and as somebody who should prioritize staying healthy is one of your most valuable tools. So stay committed to your breath. Very good. 7 on each side. Go ahead and relax. Stretch out that chest again in between. All right. Find your spot to stretch out. Again, whichever arm is up, step the same leg through in front. Open up the chest. Hold that for about 10 to 15 seconds. And all that does is allows you to really leverage through and open up the chest. Also, when we do this position with the same foot forward and the same arm backwards, this is actually more like running, right? When our right knee is going forward, our right arm is invariably going back, right? And so this is actually a better running mechanic, which will help open up your thoracic spine. Go ahead, switch sides. And now through that set, you might have noticed one side might have been more difficult than the other for you to stabilize. It might have felt awkward, all right, with one foot forward versus the other. On the last set, we're going to have you hold that foot forward, okay? So again, whichever one felt a little more awkward, generally speaking, it's the one you chose second because it's not your strong side. That's the side you're going to pick, all right? Grab those bands one last round here. So again, pick whichever foot is your least dominant foot. Go ahead, put that one forward. Again, squeeze the glute, feel the stretch through the calf. All right, press both bands forward. I'm going to talk a little less on this one and focus on the movement. Control back through the breath and press. 7 on each side. Should be about halfway, 3 or 4 reps in. Don't rush your movements. There's no point in rushing them. All right. Quality over quantity, quality over speed. We can add in speed later. And in fact, in a couple weeks, last rep here, we are going to add in some speed. We're going to start to add in some plyometrics in the next couple weeks. So most of our first race of the year, if you're kind of on like the half Ironman circuit, more often than not, it ends up being, down in SoCal, right at the beginning of April. All right. If you're looking at more like, sprints and Olympics, generally speaking, most of us are doing icebreaker. Some of us are doing both. And so those are going to be the ones that we are going to target. And because of that, we're going to start incorporating a little bit of plyometrics about 5 weeks out from that particular event. So next, what we're going to do, you need a spot to lay. Okay. If you got a mat, great. If you don't, you can use your carpet, right? So what we're going to do, it's called a bridge walkout. All right. So with this bridge walkout, the whole important piece is that you keep your hips stable. All right. I am going to do it in both directions, facing the camera as well as not facing the camera. So in this particular position, what I want to see is as we get those hips up, we're not doing this sort of thing as we're walking, right? We're not, shimmying those hips. We get that bridge up, we lock in the hips and we walk those feet out and we walk those feet back in and we bridge down. Now, profiled from the side, how, again, your feet should be moving. All right, we're going to bridge the hips up, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the hamstrings, engage the core so there's no tension in the back. You're going to walk one foot out at a time as far as you can go without feeling tension in the back. If you start to feel tension in the back because your hips are dropping, it's too far. Bring the feet back in, all right? We walk the feet back in as we keep the hips high and we bridge it back down, all right? We're going to do sets of 5. So it's bridge up, breathe out, Control the hips, small steps. Notice how many steps I'm taking to get out there. And then small steps back in and bridge down, all right? That's one. Here we go. Bridge up, walk those feet out. Keep those hips nice and high. Feel the hamstrings start to engage as you get further out. Walk them back in and bridge down. Okay, that's two. Bridge it up, walk those feet out. Lock it in, lock in that core again. Continue your breathing. Do not hold your breath. Notice how I can continue to have a full-blown conversation as I do this movement because I'm controlling my breath to be able to do that. All right, we got one last rep here. Bridge it up, walk those feet out, small, small steps. Bring it back in and relax. Okay, there are two ways that you can make that more challenging. Way number one is to add weight. All right, you can add a little bit of resistance to it. Dumbbell, kettlebell, that doesn't really matter. The second way that you can make it more challenging is use your arms for less support. So the closer your arms get to you, and ultimately if you can cross your arms over your chest, that will be the hardest variation. And so that's just going to challenge your hips to do a lot more of the stability that your arms were originally doing. So let's go ahead, let's do our second set here. Again, we're doing 5 total. Find the challenge for yourself, all right? Again, whether that's crossing your arms over, adding a little bit of weight, okay? We're bridging up, walking those feet out, okay? Control, lots of small steps. Feel those hamstrings burn at the far end. No tension in the back. Bridge it down. Again, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can leave them in the chat. I will be able to see them. And if you have your video up, I will also be able to see you in motion and be able to provide some level of correction. That's 3. We got 2 more. Very nice. One last time. Bridge it up. Walk those feet out. And walk them back in. And relax. Very good. Take a small break. We got one more set like that. Again, lots of different ways that we can make this challenging between, changing how we balance, changing how we load, okay? Changing how long each set takes, all right? Lots of different variables that we can manipulate to make this more challenging, right? For example, we could do an isometric hold at the far end, which we're not gonna do today, but those are options. So when you are doing these things on your own, in the gym, when you've got your own time and you've got some time throughout the week and you're doing some strength work, right? Throw these in, play around with it, manipulate it a little bit, add some weight, change the time, how many reps, change the balance. Find your challenge because we want to continue to get better, get stronger. The only way we do that is by doing new things, changing how we do them, and challenging ourselves. So last rep, our last set here, bridge it up, control those hips. That's all this is about, controlling your hips, controlling your glutes and your hamstrings. Walk it back in and down. 4 more reps. Walk those feet out. Again, no tension in the back. If you start to get tension in the back, you're too far out. You should be able to do some level of walkout without any pain or discomfort in your back. And if that is happening, okay, we got to find out why, right? So it would be a good time to say, hey, I should be able to do this. Why can't I do this? And find out exactly why that might be happening. Maybe it is in your back. Maybe it's your glutes. Maybe it's actually the front end of your hips that's causing your back pain. And so unless you're testing and finding out, you're just guessing. Last rep here. Walk those feet back in and bridge it down. Very good. Very good. We got one more movement that we are going to do today. All right. And so the last movement that we are going to do today is a progression off of something that we've already done before. All right. So we did the dead bug on week number 1. We are going to progress the dead bug. So you are going to either have a band or a weight. Okay. The band is going to be the slightly harder option, actually. And so you're going to hook up your band nice and low, somewhere that you can continue to grab that band. All right. You're going to lie down with your head towards your band. So last week we did the A pull downs, all right, which was primarily aimed at engaging your lats. We're going to do the same thing here. So palms are going to be grabbing your band like so, okay? I like to keep an open palm so that way my forearms and my biceps aren't taking over and I can really feel my lats pressing the bands, okay? So we're going to press that band to right above your chest. We're going to lift the knees up and press the back into the ground. We're going to reach one foot out towards the opposite wall at a time, okay? We're going to do this for time today, all right? And so not for reps. So we're going to go for 30 seconds total. We're beginning in 4, 3, 2, 1, and go. Press that band, lift those feet up, and start to reach. Again, same thing as the bridge walkout. If you have back pain in this movement, either one of two things is happening. You're not engaging your core well enough, and so you're getting a natural arch in your back. Or B, you have something else going on, and we got to figure out what it is. We got 3 more seconds. 2, 1, and relax. Very good. Take a small break. The core we're going to go through pretty quickly. We're going to take 30 seconds rest, and we're going to get right back into it. So you can just hear me talk for the next 20 seconds as we go through this. The core you can train every day. The core is something that should be on and active all the time. If you're not training your core consistently, that's going to be a weakness and you're going to lose a lot of power transfer. It's also something that's going to hinder your daily movement. So we're starting in 3, 2, 1, and go. Press that band, lift those knees up, press the lower back down, and begin. Reach those feet out. Again, I know a couple of us had chatted a week or two ago, or the first day that we did this, about the hips popping, right? And that comes down to an imbalance in the pelvis. The pelvis gets misaligned, it gets off-centered, and then it ends up where the joint actually doesn't line up. And relax. And so the femur ends up closer on one end or the other of your acetabulum, and it ends up causing that sort of like knocking, right? It's like clunk, 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 clunk as you reach that foot out. And so, again, something to test and figure out, well, why is that actually happening? We got one last set here. All right, we're starting in 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Press that band, lift those feet up, and reach. Here we go. So again, lots of different ways you can progress this. You can use a heavier band. You can scoot further away from your band. All right. You can go slower through the movement, which will make it more challenging. You can add time. 3, 2, 1, and relax. Very good. All right. Solid work. Very good. So what we're going to finish up with today, last week we worked on rolling out the quads. We're going to work on stretching the quads and the hip flexors. So we're going to do a modified couch stretch. So there's a lot of different options here. So if you do have a couch or something you can put your foot up behind on, fantastic. If not, we're just going to do a kneeling stretch. So if you don't have a couch or anything to put your foot on, you're just going to be in a half kneel stance. You're going to squeeze the glute and press the hips forward. That's what's going to actually stretch the upper quad and the hip flexor. You got to squeeze the glutes. you got to tuck those hips in, right? We can't just push the hips forward and continue to arch the back. That's not going to do anything for us. We got to squeeze the glutes first, tuck the hips, then push the hips forward. You'll get a really good stretch up there. If you do have something behind you, put the toes up on top, okay? Same thing. We want to squeeze the glutes, tuck the hips, and press the hips forward. I'm getting a couple of comments in the chat. I'm just going to leave. My favorite, not favorite stretch from Kirsten. Hey, I think this and the pigeon stretch or the seated figure 4 that we've already worked on as well, arguably the most valuable stretches for the lower half that any triathlete can do, okay? The pigeon stretch primarily for the glutes, the piriformis, okay? The couch stretch for those hip flexors. Both combat the tons of hours we spend on the bike, okay? So again, when we're in these hip hinged positions in aero or even on the bike like this, we don't open up these hips. That's why a lot of us suffer with our stride when we get off the bike, all right, is because we can't actually get the hips open enough to get a good stride out of it. And so stretches should be comfortably uncomfortable. That means you should feel it, but you should be able to manage it and hold it for a long period of time. All right. And then secondly, stretches should be one of two ways, either active, where you're going to do like a squeeze and a hold for like 5 seconds and then relax, or long passive stretches, 90 seconds plus. All right. Because that's what's going to allow the nervous system to actually respond. Go ahead and switch sides if you haven't already. While you guys do that, I'm going to just finish up my head count, because I know that some people have joined in a little bit later. And then I do have somebody in here called iPhone who has not named themselves. A reminder, I will be running a raffle at the end of the month after we've done all of the February sessions. So that way you have a chance to win a movement assessment. So iPhone, if you can just type your name in the chat, that would be great. I know Austin's iPhone is on there. Austin, I don't have your last name, but that's okay. I'm sure I can find you at some point. All right, Sherry, thank you. Perfect. Austin James, thank you. And there is one more. It's me. Okay, perfect. All right. So go ahead, relax. I want to again thank you all for coming today. Like I said, as we continue this, we're going to progress the challenge in unilateral stability. We're going to challenge ourselves as we move into more plyometric based movements. Okay, we are starting to ramp up into season. It's around the corner, right? We're like 7 weeks away from race day, depending on what race you're doing. Like, if you're going down to Southern California, for the first half Ironman of the year, if you're doing, icebreaker, we're like 7-9 weeks away. So we've got to get strong. We got to get healthy. All right. We got to prepare ourselves for the demands of that race season, which includes, training up the calves and the Achilles to be able to take the load and the pound that we're doing. So take a little bit of time. If you have any questions, leave them in the chat. You can also unmute yourself and I'll be able to hear it. Again, thank you all for coming today, and I will see everybody next week. Tell everybody to keep coming. All right. Thank you all.
Thank you, Cody. This has been awesome.
Thank you,
really,
Kirsten.
really awesome. Very popular series.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yep. Okay, everybody, I'm going to Cody's tomorrow to do my own personal assessment to see how much assessing I need, which is probably a lot.
Hey, we all have stuff. We all have something. We all need things to work on. Perfect. And so, as we continue this, right, again, my biggest thing is if you don't have an answer, you got to find an answer, right? You can't just continue doing the same thing and expect it just to get better. There's so many things that we just do on a day-to-day basis that we just accept, right? And there's so many examples of making changes into how we move, what we focus on, that allow us to continue to move better every day, get out of pain, get out of discomfort, perform better, right? And so I actually had an athlete the other day who completely unrelated sport. She's a power lifter, but she'd had this back pain for the last like 7-8 months, and she came in, she got an assessment, she actually found out that her back pain was actually a result of a different discrepancy in her mechanics. So her left glute was actually causing her right back pain because of how her body was kind of structured. And so she gave me a text. So I saw her last Thursday. She gave me a text last night saying, I feel so much better. Like, I can't believe I waited so long before like trying to figure this out. And so again, don't let things linger. The problem, generally speaking, it gets worse, it doesn't get better. And so, or if it does get better, the reason is because something else got worse, right? And you just forgot about, the original problem. So again, thank you all for coming today. I appreciate it. And I will see everybody next Tuesday morning. Have a good one. Bye-bye.